why is it that people don't do this stuff? Why is it that most of you guys, come on now? I mean, here we are, and so often, when we talk to folks, oh, I've been listening to your show for years, and it's like great, and here you are finally. We celebrate everybody who everybody who shows up. But it's like, it's one of those things that I think about a lot anyway. It's like, why is it that folks are not signing up? What is it that gets in the way of getting the estate planning done? I was talking with we do see what we're really trying to, one of the things we're trying to do is make everything as efficient as we can, as easy as we can. So what we had been doing was, if you had always a free phone call, always a free visit, right? So we were using a lot of attorney time in individual phone calls, and then you get a lot of overhead with phone calls. So what we decided to do was, why don't we just put everybody together in the room? So now what we're doing every single week in the large workshop room that we have, we seat about 40 people, is we say, okay, if you have a question, comment, or concern, come on down. Come down, have a cup of coffee and a cookie, and we do a 2-hour session. Might take less, but so far no one has had fewer questions, and that we've used the entire 2 hours. And it's like, okay, here's an update. If you haven't been in a while, here's an update on the things that have been changing, right, in the rules. And the rules have changed significantly since the COVID. I mean, COVID was accelerating. It was like gasoline on the fire in terms of changing things for long term care. It was one of those, in a very short period of time, we saw changes that I myself thought this will be over the next 10 years, we'll see these things happening. And then with the COVID, it's like, it's not taking any 10 years. It's happening now. These are things that have really accelerated. Mostly the expense has just skyrocketed, and when you can get the care. And so that's one of the things we're focusing on. But there've been a lot of rule changes with the Medicaid. My understanding is that we've got some more big changes coming. Um, it's one of those things you don't think about until you need to, until it actually happens to you. So maybe that's why folks are kind of put it off and put it off. But seriously, we've gone to this model where uh, it's a very I thought here's what I thought was that the individual, you want to meet one on one with the lawyer, and like that, and that would be a good thing. And there's pluses to it, and there are times when you absolutely need the one on one. But what we've also discovered is that there's a real power to having, when you get in there and there's another 5 or 10 or 15 families in there with you, and they have questions, and they have insights, and here's what happened, like that. It it really There's a real energy to the thing that you don't get with a one-on-one. And so we're changing what we can to the group meetings. Like I say, the thing that we've always emphasized is, once you've got your plan in place. See, a plan is not a collection of documents. A lot of people think, oh, I've got a will around here somewhere, or I've got a trust, or I've got powers of attorney, or something like that. And it's like, I'm done. I'm done. I crossed the finish line. I ran the race. I fought the good fight. I've got my documents out there in the garage, and we're down in the basement. Frankly, it smells like usually they're down in the basement somewhere. But but the point is, you think you've got it done once you've got a stack of documents, and actually, the documents are the beginning, not the end. And knowing how they used, and frankly, the world has continued to turn. I know that's a surprise, but developments have continued to happen, and so what we see are a lot of outdated plans, because they were built A lot of these plans were built with the idea that, okay, here's the situation now. I need to solve the situation now without looking down the road, without looking to the future and trying to figure out, okay, what else am I going to need here? What else is going to be required? Right. And so as a consequence, we get a lot of plans. You can't use them because, yeah, they were fine 5, 10, 15 years ago, whenever it was you did it, but there was no thought process to the future. So when we build a plan, we're always thinking about, okay, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? What's the next thing? People get frustrated with us sometimes, because, yeah, I don't have a crystal ball, as a matter of fact, and I don't know what's going to happen in the future. But after 34 years of business at this same stand here, you get some insights into, okay, I can see now how much things will change, and so I've got to plan for things that I don't know whether or not they're going to happen, but I got to put the plan in there. I've got to put the potentiality for amending things in the hands of the people that you trust, right? When the time comes, and it gets confusing. I appreciate that. On the other hand, once you've got it done correctly, then you can relax because, yeah, you've got this part handled, and then going forward, you got the rest of it done as well. You don't have to worry about it. And I think one of the things, you talk about, well, you go in one direction, go in the other direction. One of the things we've done maybe too much has been to explain in depth how these plans, how they actually work. The lawyer side of things. It's like when you buy a car, right? You go out there and you buy a car. Um, you want to know that it has the air conditioning. You want to know that it's going to start when you turn the key. Or I guess cars don't turn keys anymore. When you show up in the car, it'll turn on for you or whatever. Push the button, whatever. Um, you want to know that it'll get you from here to there, and if bad things happen, then you'll be okay. Uh, do you really want to know about how they zinc coated the metals for rust proofing? Do you really want to know how they did the plumbing on the air conditioner? Do you really want to know how the electronic ignition works? Well, some of us do. I mean, some of us are sort of curious about that. But by and large, you want to know that it's going to get you from here to there. It's not going to break down every day. It's gonna actually work, and that's really the point of the thing, right? That it's reliable and that it is going to that it is going to work, and all the details and stuff tend to get a little confusing. All right, recognize that. So what we've done now with the workshop, especially with other folks in the different phases of it, right? You're in there with other families where they'll ask the questions that need to be asked. If you don't ask them, somebody else will. And we're not doing here's a lawyer course on how to do trust. It's much more, here's the practical effect of the thing. Here are the decision excuse me, here are the decisions that you need to make. Here are the things that are really going to be relevant in your situation. So it's really worked out. I mean, I've been, frankly, in the last few months, uh, well, on the one hand, I'm pretty happy with the fact that it's working so well. On the other hand, I think, jeepers, for years I was doing this, going this other route, and how many families said, "Oh, that's too much, or too confusing, or something like this." How many families didn't work with us because we overwhelmed them with all the. Now you need all the stuff. You need an air conditioner in your car that does certain things. You need rust proofing. You need a transmission that works a certain way. You need all that stuff. But who needs to hear about all the individual details? That's my point.